Greetings and welcome to another edition of The Great Goddess. Praise be to Goddess. Praise be to Goddess. Well, here it is, another Wednesday, and today we have the continuing topic for you of depression, anxiety, and dementia secrets. And this is a series by Jonathan Otto that I've been watching, and I do recommend it. There's one episode that I didn't care for, it was unwatchable. I couldn't watch, and that was the one about religion. He goes into his Christianity in detail and interviews all these Christians, and I couldn't watch it. I gave up in the first 8 minutes, and I didn't watch it, so I don't recommend that episode. That's episode 7. But all the rest of them I recommend. If you want to buy the series, you can. This is the last day to get a discount. So it ends tonight, I guess at midnight. This is your last chance to get a discounted price on the whole series. And there's 10 episodes. So there's plenty of material to be covered, and it's a great series, and I enjoyed it. I learned a lot. I learned so much from it, and like for example, yesterday the topic was digging deeper: the gut, gluten, protocols, detoxification, dementia, and ADHD. Now, some people can eat gluten, okay? Some people have the ability to eat gluten and they don't have any reactions to it or any adverse symptoms. But some people are very sensitive to gluten. And this episode, there were at least 2 people who were very gluten sensitive in the episode, and they don't have celiac disease. It's not the same thing as celiac, but they are gluten sensitive nonetheless, and some people don't believe them. Doctors don't take them seriously because they say, we can't find a marker for it in your blood, so why should we believe you? Why should you be gluten-free? But they do have a gluten sensitivity, and it's a real thing. It's a real thing, and it can cause psychiatric problems. One person had dementia from gluten. Another person had severe debilitating depression for years from gluten. So gluten can be a bad guy. Just so you know, in case you've never studied the subject of gluten sensitivity, corn can also be a suspect. Not rice. Rice is pretty safe. Brown rice or white rice are fine. But wheat and corn, and of course all the gluten-containing grains, barley, some forms of oats. The oats that you get out of a Quaker oatmeal box probably are cross-contaminated with wheat, so I would beware of oats unless you get gluten-free oats. You can buy gluten-free oats from Bob's Red Mill. Bob's Red Mill is a great brand of gluten-free oats. Well, you have to make sure it says gluten-free on the label. But, gluten-free oats are fine. But barley, rye, spelt, wheat, and maybe a couple of others like kamut, and I don't know if triticale is one of them. But all of the emmer, all the grains that are wheat or related to wheat or some form of wheat are gluten containing, and you can react to them if you have a gluten sensitivity. It doesn't matter if it's ancient grain or not. It doesn't matter if it's pesticide free or organic. It really doesn't matter. If you have a gluten sensitivity, you're going to react no matter what. And some people who are sensitive to gluten and corn are also sensitive to wheat, to dairy. So dairy's another thing to watch out for gluten intolerant people should also watch out for dairy, because that dairy can cause some symptoms. So those are the things to eliminate for people with schizophrenia or people with depression or just anyone who might be gluten sensitive. Just eliminate them for, I don't know, a month, and just see if you've improved in a month's time. And if you haven't, you can go right back to eating it, but I don't recommend that you eat these foods if you have schizophrenia or depression. Those are diseases that can be gluten sensitive. I was gluten free for about a year, and I didn't really notice much change in my symptoms. Maybe I did improve on it, I don't know. But the thing is, I didn't go corn free. I ate a lot of corn, and corn is another suspect. And I didn't go dairy free, and dairy is another suspect. So that could be why my symptoms did not resolve themselves, specifically because I didn't eliminate all the things that could be causing me trouble. It continues. They said ADD or ADHD, it's the same thing. Bipolar, chronic depression, suicidal tendencies, all can be gluten induced. So the official name is called gluten induced mood disorder. And to improve your digestion, you want to go after toxicity first. And one thing I learned from this series is that you might have parasites. And parasites can cause all sorts of brain derangement. And parasites can also cause other problems like macular degeneration. I found out that macular degeneration can be caused by parasites. You can actually have worms in your eyes or worms in your intestines, worms everywhere throughout your body. You can even have worms in your brain. So to eliminate these worms, you have to take a dewormer. And I suppose you could get that from a doctor, but it's really not thorough enough what a doctor does. I would recommend that you go for the herbal route to get rid of worms. And they recommended for worms, let's see. Let's see if I can find out what they recommended. I'm going to look on this page. Okay, there were all sorts of things they recommended. They recommended Vedanga, neem, clove, triphala, kutasha, and mimosa pudica. Mimosa pudica is the most important one because mimosa pudica eliminates worms all throughout the body, all the parasites. And mimosa pudica goes through your intestinal tract scrubbing. And before you try the mimosa pudica, it's good to do a colon cleanse with some psyllium husk and maybe some bentonite clay, a little bit of bentonite clay, and sweep out the intestinal tract, and then use the mimosa pudica. And there's a herbal formula by Microbe Formulas. And Microbe Formulas makes a formula that removes the mucus layer in your intestinal tract so that the mimosa pudica can get at the worms. So look it up, microbe formulas, and Mimosa pudica, and they make they produce the Mimosa pudica seed. That's the seed. You don't want the Mimosa pudica plant. You want Mimosa pudica seed, and it's got to be the fat soluble kind. So that's by Microbe Formulas, and they make a formula that also gets rid of the mucus layer that protects the worms. Your mucus layer is there to protect your intestines, but it also protects the worms. So to get to the worms, you need to remove the mucus layer, and then take the Mimosa pudica and take neem, vidanga, clove, wormwood, or worm seed. Those are all, take an herbal formula. Like there's a good one, let's see if I can remember what it's called. No, I can't remember what it's called, but it's a very good formula. Parafactors. Parafactors with a dash between para and factors. The dash is very important. Factors. And that one contains all the deworming agents. And Microbe Formulas also makes a deworming agent. And something that scrubs the mucus layer in your intestines so you can get rid of the worms. And it takes about 3 months to get rid of worms. So you have to take it for an extended period of time just to be sure the worms are all dead and they're all gone from your system. And so those are some of the things that are good for the liver, for liver support. There's certain things that clear the bile duct, because worms can hide in the bile duct too, so you want to sweep out the bile duct and make sure it's clean. And those are dandelion root, parsley, beetroot, and milk thistle. So those are some herbs that you can take for liver support. Dandelion root, parsley, beetroot, and milk thistle. And milk thistle is very good for the liver. And there's also things that carry heavy metals out of the body, that will take the heavy metals out of the body, and also pesticides out of the body. And they're called fulvic acid, Fulvic, fulvic acid, and humic acid, Humic, humic acid. So the two come in a combination together, fulvic acid and humic acid together. And they're carbon-based. They're a carbon-based cleanser. Some of the cleansers are based on phosphate or some other molecule, but or atom. But fulvic acid and humic acid use carbon, and that latches on and carries it out of the body. And you can do a cleanse of your body with this, but first get rid of the parasites, because the parasites can harbor these heavy metals and pesticides, and even viruses. Epstein-Barr and Lyme disease can hide inside of parasites. They're carriers. So you want to get rid of the parasites right away, and because you can just keep getting reinfected if you have these parasites. So you want to get rid of the parasites. Another good thing for cleansing the body is celery juice. That gets rid of viruses, celery juice, and so there's many things you can try. Some other good things are yucca root, broccoli sprout extracts, and libdinum. And libdinum is a mineral, I think, or mineral complex, something like that. And yucca root and broccoli sprout, I think they cleanse the lymphatic system. Yucca root and broccoli sprout extract. So those are some things to try. And also, in general, exercise is good for everything, and glutathione is good. And for macular degeneration, it's caused by parasites and toxicity, but especially parasites. And you need to support the drainage pathways. So you want to cleanse your lymphatic system real thoroughly. And the glymphatic system, brain drainage, is very important. So, and for macular degeneration, you can also take astaxanthin and the lutein. So astaxanthin and lutein come in a formula. I think it's called Ocuvite, and you can find it at any grocery store. They have it at CVS Pharmacy, I believe, and maybe even Walgreens and some other stores. So go ahead and get yourself something if you have macular degeneration. I don't know if you do, but if you do, now you know what to do for it. And ADHD. ADHD is a serious problem nowadays, and it's caused by an inhibited dopamine function. So it's the dopamine function of the brain that's inhibited that causes ADHD. And see, there's certain things that are hyperstimulating to dopamine. And then what that means is that the brain downregulates the dopamine. So then there's a lack of dopamine later. One of those things is video games. Video games stimulate dopamine and stimulate it a lot. And then when the video game's over, the downregulation of the dopamine means that the person has ADHD. They have an attention deficit disorder. Wherever they look, they can't concentrate on anything. And so Ritalin and Adderall are prescribed for ADHD, but both of them cause brain damage. Okay, the drugs they prescribe for ADHD cause irreversible brain damage. Well, actually, it can be reversible, but most people don't know how to reverse it, so it causes permanent brain damage. And some of the things to take for ADHD are omega-3s, vitamin C, and grapeseed extract. So you want to take those, and omega-3s you can get from chia seed. So you can make a chia pudding with stevia. And you want to avoid sugar, so you don't want to make your chia pudding with sugar. But you can use stevia extract to sweeten it, and it's got lots of omega-3s. Another good thing is flaxseed on your oatmeal. That's another thing that's got omega-3s. And obviously you can take a algae-based DHA EPA supplement along with vitamin C and grapeseed extract, and that'll really help with ADHD. To avoid cravings for sugar, like some people get cravings for sugar, drink green tea with a tablespoon of MCT oil. And MCT oil comes from coconut, for those of you who are avoiding coconut for certain reasons. But MCT oil is supposed to help with sugar cravings, so that's another thing. Super minerals, uric acid bonded minerals. So super minerals, I think, is a brand name of these minerals, but it includes lithium orotate, calcium orotate, magnesium orotate, zinc orotate, and potassium orotate. All of them come in a complex, and they're called super minerals. So that's something to look into. Calcium plus vitamin D. You have to have vitamin D. And get out in the sun. Vitamin D is free. Sunshine is free. Calcium plus vitamin D. The vitamin D carries the calcium into the brain cells where it's needed to produce dopamine. Okay? And then the vitamin K2 pulls the calcium out again. So once the calcium gets in, it needs to get out again. So you need K2 for that. And it's okay if you are a vegan and you don't want K2 because it's animal based. You can take K1. That's fine. Just be sure you get lots of leafy greens for your K1. And so vitamin K pulls the calcium out, and vitamin D puts the calcium in. Okay, and then zinc transports neurotransmitters, but mercury binds to the same site as zinc and kills the neuron. So the mercury binds to the neuron site that's for zinc and kills the neuron. And the neuron dies within a few hours. The mercury never lets go, so it binds and kills. So you don't want mercury killing your neurons, so if you can do a heavy metal detox, that's great. And you need zinc in your diet. You need lots of zinc, so take a zinc supplement unless there's too much zinc in your drinking water and your soil, or some sort of contamination of zinc, but that's very rare. Most people are deficient in zinc, so be sure you get enough. And so these are all things I've learned during this series. I hope you've learned something from it as well. And go ahead and buy it this is the last day. So if you're interested in the rest of the series, you can invest in it if you want. I'm Sarah Jane Alpha Wolf signing off. Have a terrific week, and check out Depression, Anxiety, and Dementia Secrets by Jonathan Otto.